Once again, welcome to Roundtable from Atlanta at the NACS show. Joining me is Derek Gaskins. Derek, what are you doing these days?
So about a year and a half ago, I actually made a switch over to Yesway. Yesway is a chain of convenience stores. We're backed by a private equity chain and we grow by acquisition. So made a number of acquisitions starting in 2015. We're up to about 155 stores now. So I've been running all of the merchandising, marketing, advertising, loyalty programs there, using loyalty as the engine for the brand and buying out regional, mid-size, some small chains and rebranding them, re-merchandising them, and introducing Yesway to new markets throughout the Midwest.
Keeping yourself busy as usual.
Always, yeah.
And how about you, Raheem? Tell me a bit about your business and what you do.
So I do everything what Derek does and a little bit more than that. Because I own our own franchise company, so we franchise convenience stores. We run and operate our own company op stores. So right now we are into food service, loyalty, you name it, and we got to do it together. So it's fun. So it's been interesting.
So not many holidays?
Oh, holidays work too. So we just convert holidays into work too. So that's what we do.
And Sarah, tell me about what you're doing here in North America.
So, Dan, I basically power up what they try to do, which is loyalty, right? And I look after the business for liquid barcodes for the North American markets.
And you have a good global perspective on loyalty, which
Yes.
is obviously the topic, one of the big topics that we're going to talk about today.
Absolutely, yes. So we have operations across Europe, Asia, and now also in the US. So we kind of bring in a global perspective towards loyalty in this market.
So guys, thinking about loyalty, what's happened to the good old days when customers were loyal? It's all changed, hasn't it?
It has. It has completely taken a 180-degree turn where loyalty used to be a brand recognition where people used to really come and look for your brand, they would shop to you. Now it's what you offer, how do you offer it, how do you get your customer, because your customer base has shifted a lot from your regular bubbers, or we used to call them, that were customer base. Now you have these millennials and Gen Xers that have a very different concept of loyalty with everything going more digital. So I think that's where loyalty is completely changed out.
Derek, I mean, you've been around loyalty for a long time with Rutters and now with Yesway. You know, you're very well known in the industry. Do you agree with that perspective?
Yeah, I certainly think that the seismic shift that we've seen is that brands used to manage themselves. And so brands would try to manage their assets. And now customers are driving what they want from a brand. And so that is changing what the definition is. So loyalty is still there and there are still kernels, but I think in some ways that they're looking for it from different brands or different attributes or aspects of loyalty from that brand. So it could be value, it could be quality merchandise, but in this age where they have more options, I think that, years ago, everyone was time-starved, and the way they tried to satisfy that was supercenters or shopping in one format. Now, they're willing to do much as you said. They'll use digital platforms because I can bring it to me, and it can be convenient. And whether it's how I use rideshare or how I shop or e-commerce, omni-channel, so much blurring that there's no more loyalty to individual brands.
And is this true? This is what's happening in the US market, but this, with your global perspective, Sarah, this is true globally as well, isn't it?
Dan, the reality is that what Raheem said and Derek said, it is all true because technology, let's face it, is here to stay, right? Either we embrace it and connect with the millennials, Gen Y, Gen Z, so as the saying goes, either shape up or ship out, right? Yep. So if you're not tech savvy with your loyalty programs, then you become redundant to the consumers.
And focusing here on the US market, as an industry, are we embracing it quick enough?
I would say that US market predominantly has always been points and a few rewards based. But yes, I do see a few examples here in the US market where the brands are moving beyond few rewards, 10 cents off, or points-based loyalty. Right, and we have great examples. I mean, one of the great examples of loyalty is the Starbucks Rewards program. I mean, that's the next level and considered gold standard. right?
What about your own business, Rahim? Because I know this is, we were talking about it yesterday, I know this is something which is, as you move more and more into food, this is increasingly important to your business, isn't it?
It is very important, and I think where Derek said, like the needs from a customer has changed a lot. So they are wanting to see what are you offering me and what you're not offering. So a customer-based loyalty or a customer-centric loyalty is where it's shifting to. One was that what he talked about was a rewards program was generic to everybody, but now if Derek needs something specific, now the loyalty is shifting where I give him specific to that one. So it makes a big impact. It really makes a big impact.
So obviously talking about a customer who's very promiscuous, there's not a lot of loyalty, it's all about me, isn't it?
Yes.
So
Yes.
how do you get their attention? I mean, what are the techniques and ways to do this?
Yeah, I think the themes that are coming out is customer and customization, right? Make it for me, make it personal, make it special. So whether you're using digital platforms, whether you're using team members in the stores, you have to connect with that person. And many of the ways that are tried and true from yesteryear, meaning that team member on the front lines who knows that routine customer that's coming in is able to articulate the benefits of the loyalty program oftentimes better than my marketing team can. And they can make it personal. They can say, much as you were talking about, we've moved beyond points, we've moved beyond clubs. So if you're in here because you want a particular product group, here's some value that you can get from that that's personal, that you will treasure, another reason for you to get involved.
And thinking about young people particularly, I mean, how do you excite them, with loyalty programs? I mean, what are your secrets to this?
So if you look at, first of all, if you download an app, how do you keep it on your phone?
Right.
Because there is so many apps that people download it for a few, and if they're not interesting, it goes off. So we have kind of incorporated gamification. We've got rewards that come in every day that you can have games where you can spin something or get something. So it gives them a lot. The other thing is really heavy discounting on food. So if you're bringing or refer a friend, if Derek downloads my friend, I get points, he gets points. Now everyone, that's how Starbucks model. If you look at it, that's how the thing just grows, and that's how we want to grow it organically from our app. So that's what we've been trying really hard and giving a big push with all those things together. But what we are trying to do is, in this labor market, it's very tough to keep labor. So your touch point with customer loses if the cashier leaves too. But where you have this connection, then maybe we have another touch point to come back to them on something. So that's what we've been working really hard at in our organization right now.
And how do you empower the store teams? I mean, obviously Derek's point about empowering the store teams, Sarab. I mean, how can that be done to allow them to tailor things a bit?
So Dan, I think Rahim made a very important point. He used the word connection. It's all about building those connections, right? Even at the store, right? As Derek talked about that, it's all about knowing your customer better, right? To serve him better. And that's where the role of technology comes in, right? There are all multiple touch points, right? So components like mobile ordering, pre-order, subscription programs, all these aspects are really getting to know your customer better, right? And once you know your customer better, you're able to serve them better, right? So imagine a situation that I walk into a store and the crew member says, "Hi, Saurabh, how are you doing today? Would you like to have a regular?" Now that's loyalty and that's personalization, but that really comes in if the technology-driven tools are available with him to really connect and know his customer better.
And tell us about what liquid barcodes are doing there.
So, liquid barcodes, in our perspective, the way we look at it is it's all about driving relevance, brand relevance, right? If you're not driving brand relevance, if you're not connecting with them the way they want to be connected, right, you are out of the business, right? And that's exactly what we try and do. And one of the key components is really around engagement. What Rahim talked about, gamification. It's all about engaging with the consumers, gamifying the entire experience. It's all about building those connections, community. And I think personally, the way we do things, we try and build a community around sharing, right? Where you can share points, where you can share stamps, where you can share coupons or content that is coming to you, right? And I think one of the key features is refer a friend, right? And this is really the whole community building. And we've seen that a lot of signups into a loyalty program are actually driven by refer a friend.
Now, all of this, I mean, are you a tech guy or are you a retailer, Derek? I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, you're running a business. In fact, I think you're running quite a few different businesses.
Quite a few different businesses. So we just bought a software company, so yes, so that's where
So,
it comes
I
from.
mean, are you? How would you describe yourself to your kids? I mean, would you say you're a tech guy or you're a retailer? You've got to be both these days, haven't you?
You have to. You have to embrace both of them. So I just say I'm a convenience store retailer who has technology as his backup. I think that's where you kind of put, and then you have to put marketing and you have to put everything together. But I think that's where technology, without technology, what Saurabh also said in the beginning, that if you don't embrace it, you're going to be left behind. And for me, our company's always been ahead of the curve rather than follow the curve. So I think that's where, and I think Derek would say the same thing. Every company's trying to see what's the best thing to do, and then get the biggest bang for your buck, basically what you're selling. And so like, you can invest a lot of money in something and then get no returns. And that's a kind of, and it's happened to us too. It's not that everything we do is great, but we try to rectify the problem and say, okay, here's what we need to do. Here's how we're going to do it, and this is what we're going to get in out of it. So that's what it is.
Just listening to the discussion, what you're saying, I mean, it seems to me loyalty is just a bigger and bigger topic, and this is very much about your brand as well,
Yes,
isn't it?
correct.
It's about how you communicate your brand and why that should be attractive to your customers.
Sure.
So I suppose, I mean, this is very much the game you've been playing for a while in the industry, isn't it, Derek?
Yeah, and I think the biggest challenge is to make things simple, right? And I think whether it's technology, it's business, it's anything that we're doing, the more that you can simplify it, it will connect with that customer. And loyalty, you know, people, they come with their biases. You know, some people say, are you subsidizing your best customers? What's the ROI? All of those things. When you simplify it and you can get down to it and you measure, is it increasing how many times someone is coming and contacting my brand? Is it driving up the profitability and the baskets and the spend that they have? It's that simple, and we can absolutely measure that. The data that we have access to is so huge that as much as we're all tech guys and businessmen or finance and marketing and all of those disciplines, it's how do we use data more effectively? And whether it's AI or predictive analytics, I mean, we're doing those things with loyalty now. The customer hears those terms as buzzwords, but they see it in terms of, they just gave me a personal offer. How cool. Like they know I come in a couple times a week for coffee, and now that I've lapsed, they've given me something highly personal, highly tailored, and that's where loyalty really hits home.
So confident about the future in this industry?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm very long. I think in terms of small format retail, we're the last bastion of brick and mortar. And much to the points that Saurabh made, I think the barriers are actually falling down. You know, we used to talk about omni-channel or brick and mortar or e-com. I think that the consumer's looking at it as brands. And as we get more sophisticated and we're using data-driven insights and using loyalty in a more sophisticated manner, I think that those consumers will be more loyal to us over the long term. We still own the corners. We're in the neighborhoods. We're close in proximity. So if you're solving for the last mile, if you're looking at drive-through, you're looking at delivery, drone, any trend that people were talking about is relevant to our business and our customers. So it makes me exceptionally long on us as a channel. And I just think the prospects are greater than they've ever been just because of the partnership spirit of suppliers and retailers, and what is happening globally is actually moving around much quicker.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Rahim, would you agree? I know you just bought a technology company, but you still are all about retail.
I am all about retail. I think we live, breathe, eat retail.
Yes.
Convenience is in our blood. It doesn't go out. And I think what Derek made a great point is that the barriers are falling down faster, right? You have technology, you mentioned what happens globally, what happens in the East, then comes to Europe, then trickles down to the US. It's just been a trend that has been happening. What we're trying to see is what's happening in the East and bring it to the West faster. And those who adapt that technology faster would be the ones that are, getting in there. I mean, we talk a lot about frictionless. We talk about electric vehicles. An electric vehicle can get 400 miles, for a charge, but a human body cannot go for 400 miles without a stop. So a stop is going to be a convenience. You can't tell Amazon to get your restroom somewhere there in the middle of the road. You just have to stop somewhere there. So I think once you stop, and then when a consumer stops and you have the offerings to give, there is always convenience going to be there. It's always going to be there.
Well, gentlemen, yeah, really exciting to hear about your businesses. Have a great NACS show, and great to talk to you. Thanks very much.
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dan.
Look forward to it.
Thank you,
Thank
Raheem.
you.
Thanks, Derek. Thank you. Have a great day.